Oh, it was when you were telling me, that you had Bob Wire and Ednor. It was like, okay, Ednor.
So you have done this. Okay.
That was helpful. All right, I will just start talking. That's how we normally start these. Ednor Therriault is with us today. He's a Missoula-based writer, musician, and graphic designer. Real triple threat, and he's the author of 8 books. And you can read his new humorous article, "The Curious Case of Curling in Montana," in the current edition of Mountain Outlaw Magazine. Welcome, Ednor.
Oh, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
You've written 8 books. Shouldn't you be like 90 years old?
Well, typically these books I write, they're nonfiction, and it's a big publisher, Rowman and Littlefield. So they're usually pretty quick turnaround inside of a year. So I like to have one going pretty much every summer if I can, so I can travel around and research it. But
banging them out. You're like John Grisham.
Oh yeah, me and John Grisham, we're like that. Yeah, I am actually only 28, but I've lived a rough life, Joe.
Well, writing takes it out of you. Listen, I know better than anyone. One of your books is a collection of Montana ghost stories that caught my eye. I want you to give me your favorite ghost story from Montana, but no, I scare easy.
Well, I can tell you a story. I love this one because it's not in the book. The way the book came together was there's one for every state, and this is the great thing with the publisher. They will offer me one of these theme books, and I'll take that and run with it. And you can collect ghost stories anywhere because everybody you talk to has either had an encounter with a ghost or knows somebody who has.
Sure.
All over the world. So traveling around Montana, it's easy to find people who can tell me a story. But after I wrote the book, after the book came out, I was in Butte for a history conference, and I did the Butte Trolley Uptown Ghost Tour. So these 2 knucklehead high school teachers were leading the tour, and we went around, and I'm like, I'm pretty objective about this stuff. If I see, I don't know the answers, and this is not like a paranormal ghost hunting and all the gear and all this. This is like straight up ghost stories.
Just telling the stories,
telling the story. So the trolley stops at this area of Butte called the Cabbage Patch, I think, which is a little old tiny quadrant that has about half a dozen miners' cabins on it, and it's been preserved, historically preserved. And the cabins are full of miners' gear, and they're kind of staged to look like a miner lives there. So supposedly these cabins are haunted, and the tour stops there, and everybody gets off the bus. And for some reason, there's a woman who haunts one cabin. All the women go into that cabin with the tour guide. The other one takes all the dudes into the cabin that's haunted by some guy named Henry. And we file in. There's like 12 of us packed in this tiny little cabin. And I'm looking at all the old antique stuff. And the guy comes in, he pulls out a flashlight. He says, okay, Henry is almost always here. Sometimes he talks to us, sometimes he doesn't. The way he communicates is, I'm going to put this flashlight up on the shelf and ask him yes or no questions. And if the light comes on, it's a yes. If the light doesn't come on, it's a no. Oh, so if the light doesn't come on, it's a no. So I'm already, I'm turning into a skeptic at this point. So he shows us the batteries and the flashlight. It's working. He puts the switch so it's almost on, but not quite on. He shows us this, sets it up on the cabinet. Henry, we're all here. Are you glad to see us today? Nothing. He goes, just hang on. We'll try again. Henry, are you in the cabin right now? Nothing. So I'm over leaning up against this potbelly stove, just like, man, can we, I'd like to get back for the free lunch. And then he goes, like 2 minutes of this goes on, and I'm just like ready to get out of there. And he says, okay, I think maybe Henry does not want people here, and I'm not asking the right question. Henry, do you want us to leave? The light comes on. I go like this. Nope. Stride out of the cabin, man. It's like the guy's like, wait, come back. I'm like, nope, not having it. I went out to the bus.
Maybe it's because he sent all the dudes in there. Maybe Henry doesn't love a sausage party.
Exactly. Yeah. Henry's like, Morse code. Where are the women at?
Exactly. Bring them in. Come on.
I don't know, but it's. I love these kind of things that just the stuff that happens in between the books and during the research. If I do a reading for a new book, I will never read from the book. I will just tell a story about what happened that's not in the book. You're not going to get this story unless you go to the reading.
Yeah.
And to me, it's more fun that way than repeating the same stuff over again.
That's great. What a cool experience. Butte is full of experiences like that. I feel like you
Oh,
could
yeah.
throw a rock and hit something wonderful, historical, and creepy.
So true.
Other experiences you've had. So you were telling me you went to the Sip and Dip and you got to swim with the mermaids for another Mountain Outlaw article. Is that right?
Yeah, that's another thing. I kind of keep my antenna up and keep the doors open for whatever walks through, whatever opportunity. And Mountain Outlaw, they brought the magazine into Fact and Fiction bookstore here in Missoula, and they said, "We are looking for a humor writer. Do you know anybody who writes humor?" And I had been doing a column online for years, and they said, "Yeah, contact this guy." So they got a hold of me and said the Sip and Dip is going to start hiring mermen to satisfy the well, not satisfy the ladies, but to entertain the ladies who come into the Sip and Dip.
And this is a dive bar in Great Falls, Montana, for anybody who doesn't know.
It's a old hotel, uh, motor lodge, like old school, but the bar is a full-on tiki lounge, and they have mermaids swimming in a tank right behind the bar with a glass wall. So you sit there and get drunk on these dumbass looking drinks and watch these women swim around and blow kisses. And so they were going to get some mermen, and so I talked to the manager. She says, "Yeah, come on out. We'll let you do it. You know, you write a story about it." And first thing I do is get the history of the mermaid tales. And the woman who manages the hotel, it's a family deal. She sews all these tales that are it's basically you're swimming around with dragging a curtain from your waist, giant cloth thing and she says, make sure you wear compression shorts because we don't want anything weird to happen right in front of the window. Mm-hmm. Like the tail comes off and everybody's disappointed, you know? So, so I do this and I jump in the pool, and man, it is not easy, Joe. It's, I would say I spent about an hour and a half trying not to drown. And that was my experience. You have goggles on, swim goggles. The first thing I did was plunge down to the bottom. The goggles come up and fill with chlorine water, and I'm blinded. And I'm swimming around. I swim headfirst right into the glass, just like bam, and the goggles come off, and I blow out all my air and try to get out of view.
Be honest, are you still wearing your seashells under your shirt there?
Well, I'm wearing the tail for good luck, but I'm not going to show that. And these tails, man, it's like your legs are strapped in like you would think, and you can't. So it's all upper body strength when you're swimming just with your arms.
Yeah, it sounds like you're wearing concrete boots.
Exactly.
They're trying to snuff you out, Ednor.
Yeah, I should have thought about that. It's like, let's make it look like an accident. He'll walk right into this one. Yeah. But yeah, it was fun. I got a little Rapala fishing lure, and I snipped off the points and I put it in my mouth, and I swam right in front of the window. People are taking pictures, but man, I got out of there, and that water is so chlorinated. I saw like circles of rainbows for the rest of the night. I went into the bar, proceeded to get hammered, which took about 3 beers after all that.
I'm sure you were a hero in there.
Oh my God. I was sitting, there's another guy came in after me, Marine, and these 2 women are sitting at the bar next to me. I think they showed up after I got out. And the Marine comes down in front of the thing, and he blows a kiss at them, and you can see, because they have the goggles, you can see into the bar from under the water.
Sure.
So the women look at each other, and one says, "I think he's a Marine." And the other one says, "I want to put him in my suitcase and take him home with me." And I said, "How do you know he's a Marine?" She looks at me, she says, "I can tell a Marine body." Like, okay, so I'm out, I guess.
Somebody's been around the block a couple times. That's good.
Been around the base, yeah.
All right, let's change gears and talk about curling, your current sensation and focus. It has really taken off in Montana. Why?
I think probably the biggest reason I could find researching this story for Mountain Outlaw is that in the most recent Winter Olympics, the American curling team won a medal. And so that kind of sent shockwaves through the sport, and it was growing steadily, but not like taking over. And after that happened, I think a lot of people started to investigate it, and people find out it's pretty casual. It's not hockey. It's not softball. You're throwing a rock about 150 feet down the ice and trying to land it in a circle target, like it's like shuffleboard. That I think that's how I put in the story. It was like, or how I pitched it to the editors. Curling is like it's a cross between hockey and shuffleboard, only without the tooth loss and rampant alcoholism.
Oh, I think there's plenty of alcoholism
I
in
did
curling.
find out later. I asked one of the coaches if does anybody ever show up for a match like you know drunk. He says, "Oh no, there's no drinking." And he looks at his partner, and they had to tell me they were being facetious.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh, it's basically, well, the story lays it out how important beer is to curling right off the bat.
Yeah.
But
And it also talks about some of the terminology I was completely unfamiliar with, that the bullseye is called a house and the
yeah,
target in the middle is called the button, and the giant stone is rock. Wait, tell me some more. And we don't have like the periods in it are called ends.
that's right. There's ends. There's
Okay.
I think 8 ends, which is like an inning. So there's 8 ends in a match.
Okay.
So there's 2 players on each team. It's a little like horseshoes where everybody goes down to one end and the teams alternate throwing the object. It's You're throwing a thing at a thing. That's like my favorite sports in the world, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
But man,
Lawn
delivering that
bowling,
thing,
right? Bocce
lawn
ball.
bowling,
It's some of that.
Texas washers. I've got a court in my backyard.
Oh, that is a great. I love that. It's
It's
small.
fun.
If you don't have a
But
lot of room, it's good in a studio apartment.
it, yeah, I put some holes in my last apartment. The guy downstairs was kind of pissed off.
And another thing that you made clear in the article is that the ice conditions are so important. Yeah, that
Oh yeah.
it's not like your traditional, oh, the Zamboni comes and smooths it over. This is it's an art form, getting the ice right.
Yeah, it's the deeper I dug, the more technical, complex stuff I found out about the sport. Zamboni is the worst thing there is for curling because the ice is called the sheet, and they want to have an absolutely level, perfect, flawless sheet for curling, so that all the physics and math and strategy you put into your throw is not affected by the ice. But most curling is played on a hockey rink, so that ice has a little tiny bit of a crown to begin with for drainage, and then it's bumpy, it's not level, it's got gouges and dips from the skaters and from the Zamboni, and so it's so bad that most teams will come in and say, the first team that is able to read the ice is going to be the team that wins the match. So that's the thing. If most of these teams are trying to get dedicated ice, their own facility where they can have that perfect sheet of ice. It's a few degrees colder than hockey ice, and they treat it right before the match. What is called is it pebbling? I think they have a guy goes over
Dapple.
the ice, dappling. That's what it is. Yeah. So a guy sprays droplets of hot water onto the ice, which creates little tiny divots that have little peaks. And then another machine comes by and shaves off all the peaks, so you're left with it's kind of a pebbled surface like a football or basketball, but the top surface is level, which absolutely minimizes the friction on the stone, which is sometimes called a rock. That's the funniest part of the terminology to me. It's like, yeah, the bullseye is called a button. There's a hog line that you have to get the rock past the hog line to score a point. There's well, just all kinds of stuff that I think I put a list, kind of a glossary in the article.
Yeah, hacks,
Yeah, the
and
hack is the little chunk
sliders.
that's
But
yeah, the
then
sliders, the you have one foot that's slippery, one foot that's like golf cleat, or actually just sneakers. They'll wear sneakers onto the
okay,
ice because they can grip the ice a little better. The other one is like you're stepping on a pad of Teflon. And it's just that's the one you see them when they deliver the rock. They slide on that one foot, and the other foot's dragging behind. They look
right.
like a hood ornament. And it's to get into this story, like I like to do with the stuff I write for Mountain Outlaws, be part of the story. And so I talked to the coach of the Missoula team. And I was down there during a skills clinic led by a nationally known curler. And so I learned a lot about the strategy and the technique from him. And then the coach for Missoula team says, "Okay, we got an open sheet over here. Let's let you try to deliver this rock, and I'll show you how to do it." These guys have the broom, that
Sure,
thing.
broom's a big part of it.
It is, and when you're sending the rock, your broom's like a tripod. It's holding you up as you go along the ice. I never realized this.
Okay.
So it is super complicated. You get there and you're on ice, man. So he says, "I'm gonna give you two rocks. Hold yourself up on these two rocks. Kick off the what is it called? The cleat that's stuck into the rock,
Yeah.
into the ice." See, I'm getting mixed up already. I haven't even started drinking yet today. So he says, "Just push off and glide and see how that feels. Hold yourself up on the rocks. Don't let go of the rocks." Okay, these rocks are like 45-pound stones, about this big, and there's a handle on. So I get in a position, and I'm an old guy, Joe, and I'm pretty stiff. And I kick off, and my left foot I'm trying to get it under me. I'm sliding on it, trying to drag the right foot, and everything goes out like I'm spread eagle. Everything goes away. My feet, the rocks, and I go bam, face down on the ice, and slide to a stop. And the coach is like, "Okay, we'll try it again. Only maybe this time I'll hold you up." I said, "Look, I'm done. I'm just." He goes, "Well, are you going to join the team?" "No, I'm not even going to come watch. I got to go home and ice my various joints and parts and start drinking."
It's hard enough to stand or walk slowly on ice. I can't imagine all of these, frictionless points that are supposed to be holding you up. So,
Yeah, these people you watching these experienced curlers in the club, to get from one end to the other, they will act like they're on a skateboard on their sliding foot and push with the other foot and just glide along on one foot. And I'm like, I could barely walk here from the parking lot. You guys are insane.
I take it you are not a hardcore curler at this point, then.
No, I can understand the game now when I watch it, and I have so many friends who are doing it, and they're constantly trying to get me to come down. Like, "Hey, you like these sports where you throw a thing at a thing, and so maybe you'll like this."
This could be
But
for you.
yeah,
All
oh,
right.
I had to try it because it looks well. If I understand what the position is all about, and there are 70-something-year-old curlers where they have a device that they hold on their left, kind of like putting up a bumper at the bowling alley. They don't have to squat
Okay.
down. They they put their broom on the rock, and they push off. They never have to bend down. They push with their broom.
Much more like shuffleboard, traditional
Much,
shuffleboard.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And the coach actually he offered me that. He said, "You want to try that?" And I said, "No,
Yeah.
I don't need to be further humiliated. This is plenty for one day." But that's part of these stories. I find the humor in everything that I write. There are some serious subjects I write about where I know enough to not be too silly about it or treat it with respect. Usually, when I'm writing about Native American history and things that are going on in Montana around the reservations,
Yeah.
but everything else, it's kind of how I go through life, Joe. It's like looking for the goofiness or the humor or the beauty in pretty much everything.
Yeah. You have an irreverent approach no matter what you do. I know that there is another side of you, your musical side, that goes by a different name, that goes by Bob Wire.
Yeah, that's my stage name, and that's really I share the same attitude there, where I write a lot of humorous songs. I do a lot of parodies that are on YouTube. Everything from when Governor Gianforte shoved down that reporter the night before an election to the dress code that was proposed by the GOP segment of the Montana legislature and everybody's reaction to that. So I see something like that and I can jump on it the day I see it, find a tune that works for it, and write a song and get it out there into the zeitgeist. Like my latest one was called Missoula Hurricane.
I just
Uh,
listened to that. It's great.
uh, oh, thank you. Yeah, the obvious template for that was Bob Dylan's Hurricane. So it took me a couple weeks to get that one together because I needed a top fiddle player, and a good friend of mine. Yeah, she plays great fiddle in bands around town, but she was out of state for a week, so I had to wait until she got back to record it. But I get these out there, and they play them on local radio, and people talk about it, and then in a couple weeks, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's kind of the ephemeral nature of doing a parody like that. But
Well, it's
always
impressive
on
the
the
way
lookout.
that you can make it sound great, and it was so close to the original. You got a lot of Weird Al to you.
Yeah, I guess there is a lot of that. I hear that once in a while.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing what you're cooking up next. I am done with questions. I would love to play one quick dumb marmot game with you, though, if you don't mind sticking around.
I'm ready.
Okay. It won't take long. This one's called Curling is a Joke. I have written some jokes about curling. I'm going to give the setup of the joke, and you try to guess the punchline. Okay.
Okay.
This is a game that I love playing with other comedy writers.
All right.
Because to me, when my kids come home with some dumb joke they learned from a book, I just want to be able to guess the punchline.
Oh, sure.
All right. Starts out kind of easy. Why do witches make good curling teammates?
They have their own broom.
They always bring their own broom. Very good. It gets harder. All right. Why did the junior curler get sent to his room? This one brings in some of that terminology.
Oh, it was the only way he could get into the house.
Oh, close. For throwing rocks at the house.
Oh, that's good. That's tight. There you
And
go.
all right, last one. I
Okay.
could do this all day, literally. How do curlers order their margaritas?
On ice.
See, I think you could go with that. You could also go with frozen, but the answer is strong.
Of course. Yeah, so you're going outside the lines there. I like that.
Yeah, with the third one, you kind of have to. It's the rule of threes in comedy, right?
Of course. Yeah, it's always the third one.
I was intrigued that I think of curling as being so Canadian, but in your article, you talk about its roots being in Scotland.
Yeah, they're pretty adamant about being recognized for. There's no hard and fast document or anything that proves where it began, and there's a little bit of controversy about that. But by and large, they figured it was brought over to Canada from Scotland, and then Canada took it and just made it huge.
Man, as long as there are heavy drinkers behind it, then we can believe it.
I think that goes for every sport, eh?
Well, Ednor, thank you so much for joining me on Explore Big Sky with Hoary Marmot, and I hope that everyone grabs an edition of Mountain Outlaw Magazine to read
Oh,
read
yeah.
Ednor's work.
And Christmas is coming.
What do we have here? Oh, is this a new book?
No, these are all my books. I have all these books.
All the Montana books. Buy one.
Yes.
They make great stocking stuffers, it looks like.
If you have a big ass stocking.
You'd need a wide stocking, but some people do.
Yeah, some people have that Shaquille O'Neal stocking. But yeah, these are available. One of my friends, every time a book comes out, "Hey, where can I get one of these?" Well, there's stores that specialize in selling books. What do they call those? Bookstore? Yeah, any
Bookstores, there we
bookstore
go.
would have it. And there's also ednor.com where you can find out all this stuff. And that's all the commercials I have, Joe.
All right. No, I think it's healthy to do plugs at the end. That's where they belong.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're not funny. They're just okay. Let's.
Hey, everybody needs access to your books. I believe it.
Well, thank you very
deep
much.
within my core.
I hope you enjoy the curling article when it comes out too.
Absolutely. Read it and reach out to ednor.com. Buy some books.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. Thanks.